Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to give my review of the Royal Rumble 1990. Starting off the evening, we're going to our first match of the night. It is the Rougeau brothers versus the Bushwhackers. I thought it was a relatively okay match to open up Royal Rumble 1990. Back and forth matchup between both the Rougeau brothers and the Bushwhackers, with the Bushwhackers keeping the pace of the match. And the Bushwhackers ultimately hit the finish on the Rougeau brothers, pinning them for the 3. And your winners of the match are the Bushwhackers. Hats off to the Bushwhackers for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is the Genius versus Brutus the Barber. I thought this was an okay match as well. Back and forth matchup between both the Genius and Brutus the Barber, with Brutus the Barber keeping the pace of the match. Genius ends up throwing Brutus into the ref. Referee is knocked down. Brutus, though, applies his signature sleeper hold on the Genius. Mr. Perfect is here. Perfect ends up attacking Brutus, and the match ends in a double disqualification. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is a submission match. It is Ronnie Garvin versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. I thought this was a relatively good match. Back and forth matchup between both Garvin and Valentine, with Garvin keeping the pace of the match. Greg the Hammer Valentine ends up applying a figure 4 leg lock on Garvin. Greg also then hits an elbow drop on Garvin as well. Garvin and Greg both exchange in the middle of the ring. Greg then applies another figure 4 leg lock. Greg then is working on the legs of Garvin, but Garvin ends up applying a sharpshooter on Greg the Hammer Valentine, and your winner of the match by submission is Ronnie Garvin. Hats off to Ronnie Garvin for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus the Big Boss Man. I thought this was an okay matchup. Back and forth matchup between both Jim Duggan and the Big Boss Man. Duggan and Boss Man were both exchanging in the middle of the ring, but Boss Man ends up hitting Jim Duggan with his nightstick. Referee ends up seeing it, and your winner of the match by disqualification is Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hats off to Jim Duggan for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the Royal Rumble match of 1990. I thought it was a relatively good matchup. The Royal Rumbles are always great to watch. Ted DiBiase was the number 1 competitor in this match. Number 2, who drew number 2, was Koko B. Ware. Like I said, the match was really good. And the winner of the 1990 Royal Rumble was none other than the Hulk Hogan. All in all, like I said, Royal Rumbles are always fun to watch. This Royal Rumble, to me, they didn't have a lot of matches on this card. There was only 5 matches in total. The card itself was okay. Jim Duggan versus Big Boss Man was alright, even though it ended in a disqualification. The Rougeau brothers versus the Bushwhackers was an okay opening matchup. One match I could have done without, honestly, was the Genius versus Brutus the Barber. Honestly, I don't know why the Genius was even a pro wrestler. I have no idea, but that match I thought was awful. I thought it was one of the worst matches of this card, to be honest with you. And as far as giving Royal Rumble a rating from 1 out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid 5 at best, man. I don't think this Royal Rumble was all that great. No, it definitely wasn't the worst, but it definitely wasn't that great. But all in all, I had to give it probably a 5, 5.5 at best for the Royal Rumble 1990. And like I said, it wasn't the worst, but it damn sure was not the best. But this is my review of the Royal Rumble 1990. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.